Uh-oh, we're live. That's not necessarily a good sign. No, I'm just kidding. I had to have started it, of course. We'll see how many people join. We'll find out. Bit off the cuff again, but it's whatever. I'll have to get that out later. That should be alright. Oh, looks like we got a viewer. That's cool. Alright, hello there. Oh, we got 3 viewers now. Holy crap. Not bad, not bad. Of course, knowing YouTube statistics, it's like 3 viewers. How's that quarantine life? Oh, it's going splendidly. You know? As per usual. Kind of just kicking back and relaxing at this point in time, anyway. Not much to really do. Another Dell video uploaded again. Oh, not really. I mean, it included this machine, sure, but it included my Acer Aspire, which is sitting over there. Ah, bloody hell, I just spilled over myself. That's nice. Good, I get to go change shirts. Well, good thing this one was already crappy enough to begin with anyway. That's great. How many computers do you have? Too many to count. That's a definite answer for sure. All right, I shall return. I gotta go change my shirt because I spilled all over myself, which is great. Start the stream in one shirt and in another. That is the story of my life in a nutshell. And good thing I'm at home and not anywhere else, because that would suck. Okay, sorry about that. I return now. I fix my watch a little bit. Okay. So now, hopefully I don't spill soda all over my shirt. That'd be great. This one breathes a little bit easier and looks better. Grocery store I went to today made people line up. Oh, brother, I hate when that happens. I generally try to avoid grocery stores because generally speaking, I'm only buying for myself. I'm not buying for a family. So I generally, if there's a line, I just pass and I come back later because probably most likely I don't need to be there when there's a giant line. I don't know. That's just me. I just don't like to, yeah. Close those so it stops playing with the exposure on the camera. Anyways, so looks like we got 4 people in the stream, maybe 5, because YouTube doesn't know how statistics work. So I guess we'll go ahead and I'm going to move this out of the way, and we'll get into it. Why don't you do computer upgrade videos? Well, they're not really exciting, let's be fair. I mean, I could, but that's just more clickbait adding on to the clickbait I already make, so it's, yeah. You got to look at it from the viewer's standpoint and from me, the content creator standpoint. I mean, I could make that stuff, absolutely, but it's something down the lines of would people actually want to watch it? Because if I'm going to put forth the effort into putting time into a video to make it, I want to get people to watch it, you know. I don't want to make content just for the sake of making content, only for people to not watch it. Like, for example, I'll take a software overview video. In fact, actually, I'm going to bring my laptop out. I can't even English either. I'm going to bring my laptop back out here so I can show you just exactly what I'm talking about, because the statistics don't lie. Except Windows 10 just loves to not recognize my fingerprints, although, to be fair, my fingerprints suck. Hence why I like Face ID over Touch ID, and that is not an argument that I'm going to make today, because it is down to opinions. Touch ID sucks. Well, I mean, it has its uses, but I hate fingerprint sensors. Anyways, bias over. Let me go to my YouTube studio real quick. Let me plug this in, because why not? Shut up, YouTube. I don't care. Get out of here. I don't want to be forced to watch a video. I'm already making one. Okay. So let me just scroll down because I don't want people to see the YouTube queue of mine. Okay. So, for example, here's this video on Q4OS that I've made. It only has 81 views on it right now. But, like, for example, I made the video on the MediaSmart server. That got 155 views. I know, tiny font, but there's nothing I can do about that. And I also can't do anything about the autofocus, so it's whatever. So, yeah, these software videos that you see, they don't get nearly as much views as an overview video, like on a computer, or in this case, a video on a Dell. Like, y'all might think that I make too many Dell videos, but here's the thing. Like, I'll scroll down here. I mean, where is it? Latitude E6430. That got over 2,770 views. Latitude E7450, the machine I'm using like right now, 1,386 views. But software videos, nah, man, 81 views there. What? I just passed by the Kubuntu video. Kubuntu video, 75 views, and that was almost a month ago. Today's the 20th. This was published on the 1st. Only got 75 views since then. So my point is, you know, I don't always make videos that everybody wants to watch, but I like making them. So, sure, that's one thing that I could probably make an exception to. I like making the videos, but not everybody wants to see them, but I make them anyways because they're interesting to me, and I'd like to share them because somebody else might share that interest. But for one person, if I know for a fact that the video topic that they're thinking I should make doesn't bring in the views, I'm not going to make it because it's pointless. So, while I do accept requests like that, and that's totally fine. Whoops. Dang it. There we go. So while I do consider those kinds of video requests because they can be interesting, I like to try to maybe, I don't know, upgrade them before the fact and talk about it. Or I could maybe do it during. I don't know. It depends. It's one of those things where I have to figure it out before I actually make the video or something like that because I just like to do everything in one go. I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where it's down to what happens. Yeah, compromise, as you said in the chat there. Exactly. Kind of have to figure it out. I don't want to make everything like, oh, you got to stay tuned for this in order to find out. Although I have done that before. Like once, I think. Maybe twice. I don't know. I can't remember. But I don't know. It's just one of those things. But it also depends on how much footage I already have. But I don't know. So it's not that I say no. It's just I have to think about it, and I have to figure out if it's worth doing in some way or another. I don't know. Just trying to look back in the chat here, just kind of see what's going on. What's your all-time favorite laptop? Oof. That's a tough question. I have to think about that because I've used plenty of laptops, and probably a lot of you know that. I think if there's any favorite that I've had, and this is not biased or anything, I almost want to say it would have been... Yeah, that's a tough one. It's a good question. It's just a tough one to answer because I've used so many machines. Like, which one's my favorite? I mean, this one right here, this E7450's come pretty close because it's got everything that I would probably use a daily laptop for. Discrete graphics, nice display, good keyboard, good sound, and it's portable, decent battery life. Like, this is a pretty strong contender. Oh, excuse me. But it also kind of put it up against my 2015 Retina MacBook Pro that I used to own. That machine did the business for me and did my YouTube videos back in 2018. That machine I do remember. Uh-oh, there's a P in the chat. Oh, man. Cough, mostly Dells. Well, not necessarily always Dells, because there is a favorite of mine. My very first machine that I had that was a vintage computer was a Toshiba Satellite 410CS or 410CS. It was a really old laptop. I think I even got it here in my dorm somewhere. It's a 90 megahertz Pentium. It had 40 megabytes of RAM. That was my very first vintage computer, and I will honestly say that's probably one of my favorites because I've had it the longest. I got it in 2010 at a yard sale. So the fact it still works and the battery still holds a charge is pretty impressive. So, I don't know. That's one thing. Talking about the Acer or what? Nah, the Acer's kind of over there, just kind of sitting around. Enjoyed seeing that Windows Home Server box the other day. Would have loved one back in the day, but couldn't afford at the time. Yeah, they're definitely expensive, and obviously that's probably due in part to hard drive costs back in the day. And let's face it, the lackluster hardware of sorts, that's another thing. I mean, you only got like a Sempron processor, so not exactly a lot of horsepower. But I mean, it was a headless setup, so I mean, to be fair, so let me close out some stuff here. All right, I'm not missing anything. Okay, perfect. So currently, I am working on prepping for a future video where I'm going to do a comparison between two of my Pentium D systems just for the sake of I can. And I figured to make an interesting enough video nonetheless to just have fun with. And maybe somebody might actually make use of it. I don't know. It's pretty pointless, honestly, admittedly. But, it'll be fun. So let me put my E7450 up out of the way. Yeah, get neither. Yeah, admittedly, that's the better answer. But the whole point of the video is just for the sake of having fun. So, I've got out the Gateway GT4024 today, and I'm currently waiting on Windows 7 to finish installing here because this motherboard has a bit of a quirk to it. I'll get into it here eventually. Let me scroll through the chat here because it's going kind of fast. I want to see if I can talk about it. I'm contemplating getting a GT 1030. You could. So unless you need like a small form factor card, I'd probably just say get a GTX 1650 because it's much newer, it's much better, and you're going to get driver support for a little bit longer. Hard drives are obsolete. No, they aren't. Don't get a 1030, get a 750 Ti. No, don't get a 750 Ti, man. Those things are old. A 1030 will actually be faster than a 750 Ti, I think. Don't quote me on that. I never looked up the benchmark, so I might be wrong. And if I am wrong, then I'll admit that I'm wrong. But I haven't done the research. But a 750 Ti is older. It's not going to get the driver support of a 1030. So I'm just saying. I don't know. Or RX 550/460. I mean, I bought a 560 for my Optiplex, and that card's fine, but that was just because I needed something with 4 gigs of frame buffer, because my old card, which is right here, this card is fantastic still, but the problem is it only has 2 gigs of VRAM, so I would have kept using this if it was a 4 gigabyte card, but it wasn't. So I bought a secondhand 560 because I needed to. So, anyways. The Optiplex is a small form factor. You might be able to get away with getting a 1650, but it depends on the cooler. But I don't remember what cards work and what. So, yeah, you might only have the option to do a 1030. And if that's the case, then that's fine. The 1030 is still a good card. It's just not really the most high performance these days. At least, well, it never was, but especially not these days. Jordan, clean your pants. Yeah, fuck off, Rob. I see that. Probably gonna get my stream demonetized on my own fault, and if I do, a little whoops. Similar to the small form factor Dell Optiplex used. Oh, so you mean my 790? Well, I mean, in the case of the 790, yeah, you could buy yourself a GTX 1650 and it would fit. But for the newer Optiplexes after the 20 series, like the 9020 small form factor or something like that, anything after this, the cooler design has changed and it's not compatible. So you'd be stuck with a single slot card in those newer systems. This is the last series of systems to where you could use one of them dual fan cards specifically inside of a small form factor system and have it fit, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, I'm rambling. Let me get to the setup here because I need to get this ball rolling here. Just gonna do something dirty here. Hard drive is crunching like crazy. Anyways. I consider 1 GB of VRAM okay for 720 Lite. Well, even then, 720p can use more than 1 gig of VRAM. Honestly, these days, 1 gig of VRAM is absolutely the barest of essentials to just get a display adapter working with games. I've very frequently seen games go well over 1 gig of VRAM. So, in the case of, like I was mentioning, my old graphics card, my old Radeon R9 270X here, this thing would easily have its VRAM exceeded in the most basic of games these days. It doesn't take much. I'm just saying, like, it's, yeah. I currently use the AMD R5 240. Hey, I have one of those cards sitting in one of my small form factor Optiplexes right now. Yeah, they are pretty dang slow, not gonna lie. But hey, it's better than having the integrated graphics in some cases. I use all my 8 gigs on my 1070 Ti. Yeah, like I said, it doesn't take much. And especially nowadays, considering that games are at a minimum requiring sometimes 3 gigs of VRAM for the lowest of settings, then that's just bleh. So, yeah. Also, I apologize for people who are messaging me on the Discord right now. I can't get to your messages because if I were to do so, the live stream would stop. So I can't do that right now because I don't have my laptop out. So anyway. Ah, fuck. Also, the gestures are fun, so that's also useful. Put it in Inspiron with a quad-core i5 750, I think. Oh. Gotcha. Okay, so here we are at the desktop of Windows 7. So, I'm using 2 gigs of RAM because this motherboard, it maxes out at 2 gigs of RAM. So, yeah, that's really annoying. You cannot put any more than 2 gigs of RAM inside of a socket 775 board. It's really stupid. I mean, you can fudge 3 gigs to work. I've done it before with these boards, but it's really, 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 really picky. So, yeah. And then, of course, the CPU is the slowest of the slowest Pentium Ds. This is the 805, if you haven't seen my video on it. The slowest Pentium D ever made. And I'm going to use that for the basis of a comparison where I'm going to compare this against my Optiplex GX620, which has a Pentium D 960. So it's the fastest Pentium D ever made. Well, I mean, technically. I mean, they have a Pentium Extreme Edition 965 out there, but they're extremely rare, and they're basically non-existent. So the 960 is basically considered to be the fastest. Anyways, there's no license key, but I'm not intending on activating it because I have to install Windows 7 on this computer due to the fact that the motherboard has a really stupid quirk with it. And I've had a previous Gateway computer that had this literally the exact same motherboard, no difference, but it was in a small form factor case. It was the E2600S. It was more of a business class computer. And the problem with these boards is that they'll boot anything up to Windows 7 with no problems whatsoever, even with a BIOS update. But the problem is that anything past Windows 7 will not natively boot. You can theoretically install up to Windows 10, the latest version. It will work just fine. The problem is you can't boot the setup you can't natively do any of that because for some reason it just locks up when booting. I'm not sure what the deal is, but these boards will not let you boot anything setup-wise newer than Windows 7. So you have to start at Windows 7, and then you have to perform an in-place upgrade, and then you have to reset the system, and then you'll have a clean install of Windows past Windows 7. It's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever used. But that's what you have to do in the case of these things to get them to work. It really is the dumbest thing. But that's what I got to do in the case of this motherboard in order to install anything past Windows 7. So it means I have to start at Windows 7. So, yeah. This thing is the pickiest of pickiest systems I think I've ever used. And that's saying something compared to my ancient Pentium 2 Compact. 1 minute. I got to plug you guys back into charger. There we go. So, 1 minute, I gotta connect to my server. Not doing it. Okay. So now I need to go in Windows 10, 1909. Oh wait, I forgot. I can't do this right away because this is Windows 7. Fucking hell. Gotta reconnect to remote desktop connection so I can extract the ISO. Damn it. I cannot type today for whatever reason. So, 1 minute. Please work. Come on, let's go. Come on, computer. I don't know what my server's doing. It's being dumb. Alright, whatever. Try again. Oh, don't you just love Windows when it doesn't frickin' work? Never. Why would it work? That would just be too easy. What are you guys talking about in the chat? Oh, wait, it worked. That was just dumb. All right, we'll let that connect real quick. What are you guys talking about in the chat? Can it beat my Celeron D? Well, I would hope that it would beat your Celeron D. It's got 2 physical cores. You know. Anyways. Does it lock up after it's been installed? No, once it's installed, it's perfectly fine. It's just that the problem is you can't start the setup. It won't let you boot it. But once it's installed, it'll boot just fine with no problems. It's the strangest thing. I don't know why this motherboard is this way, but it's the quirkiest freaking thing I've ever used. It's just bad. But Gateway, or in this case Acer, never bothered to fix it, so that's just how it's ever been. Jordan, think it would work if you hacked the hell out of a Windows 7 disk with a 10 installed at whim? Probably. The only problem is that I would fear that the Windows 7 part of it would influence something, and it would cause the setup to fail after it's installed or finished expanding the files in the setup. I think it would have a problem. I've had this happen before where I've used a different edition of Windows to install a newer version of Windows, and it just completely screws up the BCD, and it just doesn't boot. It's annoying. So that's just what I have to do. If I use a dual slot card, it has to go through PCI X4 slot. It shouldn't have to. It should fit in the X16 slot. Time to use Kubuntu 5.04. Yeah, it's not going to work on this computer, Patrick. Good try. Okay, so while we're in remote desktop connection here, I need to go to my storage drive, and I need to, well, I need to eject this ISO real quick. Go to the same folder, and I got to do a bit of a temporary workaround. So what I got to do is I need to make a new folder here, just called 10 or whatever. We need to open it in a new window, and then I need to open this ISO, like take all the contents and paste it to the folder. And that way, on the Windows 7 PC, I can just go to the folder, and bada boom, bada bing, it's right there. I could just take that folder with the install files and just copy it to the desktop. I don't have to goof around with installing any additional software. It'll just work. So that's the idea with that. pain in the butt, but that's just Windows 7 in a nutshell, because unlike Windows 8, you can't natively mount an ISO, which I always miss that feature of Windows 8, but Windows 7 doesn't have it. And people call Windows 7 the greatest operating system of all time. I beg to fucking differ. Especially now that it's out of support. And it's hot as hell in this room. I wonder why it's hot, isn't it? Is it because there's a Pentium D on in this room? No wonder it's hot. Windows 7 sucks. Yeah, it's getting that way these days. Yeah. Can you use old Dell power supplies that come from Optiplex 745s and Dimensions and other systems? No, I don't think so. I think that was back when Dell was doing their shenanigans as far as changing the color codes of the wiring around. So it's not directly... I mean, the Molex and the SATA power lines have to be the same because they have to be electrically compatible with every device. But as far as the other connectors, I'm not too sure about that. Yeah, and what Rob said in the chat there, they're too tall because they're an extra tall power supply form factor. Okay, so let me check remote desktop. Okay, it is done. So now I can just disconnect from this. And now I can just take this folder and, whoops, now I can just drag it to the desktop. And because my network is old, we're going to have to transfer everything at the great, lovely, high bandwidth speed of 100 megabits per second because I don't have a router that's got gigabit ports, so this is going to have to do. But it should be fast enough to where we can get this done, hopefully, in a decent amount of time, hopefully. Maybe. It's not actually pulling too bad. Even with the server folding at home for COVID-19, this is actually pretty decent performance. Then again, I think I installed a feature for quality of service, so I think that's what is helping out with that, probably. I'm just looking through the chat here, don't mind me. 7 is a nostalgic operating system, not really usable anymore. I mean, sure, I did grow up with Windows 7 alongside XP, so I do have some nostalgia for 7, but most of my nostalgia goes into XP. I had issues with 7 back in the day, a lot of problems with it. Contrary to what a lot of people think, I used to have issues with 7 all the time. Instability, things just wouldn't install and work. It was slow. Driver problems, and of course I was mainly using older hardware, so I guess I can't be too hard with it. And then it just got slower and slower and slower and slower, just like XP did. And ask me how I know, because I used XP up until the fighting end. And there's some other things too, but I mean nowadays 7's okay, but I don't have the most fond of memories. Most of my memories come from XP. Just because that's what I grew up with. And a little bit of Windows Vista. So that's just my thing on that. I mostly also used Mac OS as well, so that's another thing too. I think that the color code is fine. Only one way to try that. Yeah, blow the system up. It ain't fun unless you see flames shooting out of the back of a computer. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Wanted to use mine for a 775 test bench, blah, blah, blah. I used 8 before 7. All I remember of the latter is POS school machines. Yep. I remember when my school had a couple of Windows 8 systems, and they were awful to use. I'm not even lying. The way they had them configured was just baloney. So, I don't miss those. I'm glad that they went to Windows 10 after it came out. Like, as soon as version 15.11 hit, ladder means 7, by the way. Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't like how Windows 7 worked, but it was better than 8. I'll just give it that much. But no, I'm so glad that we went to Windows 10 after version 15.11 because, oh my God, it was such a massive improvement. I mean, not necessarily in the performance factor because everybody was still using Core 2 Duos with Windows 10. But anyways. Seven is not really slow, but with an SSD, because it is an SSD, the score is not great. Well, keep in mind, not everybody owns SSDs, and so that's a limiting factor in the performance. But even still, like Windows 7 had problems with high memory usage, high CPU usage, high disk usage. It was just as bad as Windows Vista. In fact, even worse because it used more CPU, used more RAM. The 64-bit version with its minimum amount of memory is almost nearly unusable, unlike Vista. And it tends to be a lot slower in the user experience compared to Vista, because at least with Vista, if it's under load or whatever, it at least still open Windows Explorer windows, unlike 7. So I have these little tiny gripes every around the system. It's just it's annoying. Of course, Windows 10's not any better, but it's Windows 10. It's got its own fair share of problems. I remember when my high school has the first services with Windows RT. I didn't like it. Well, yeah, because it's Windows RT. You can't do anything with them. You still can't do anything with them because Microsoft never bothered to unlock it. Would have been nice, you know, if they had the option to run desktop apps on RT. That would have been great. Or if they got an upgrade to Windows on ARM, like Windows 10 on ARM, but that probably would have suicided the performance, so I can't say I blame them. A Superfetch, yes, Superfetch is another thing, but I didn't find Superfetch to make that big of a difference if you disable it, or at least in my experience. Like, Superfetch just did like a little improvement, but it was barely noticeable, in my opinion. It makes more sense on Vista, because Vista's lighter on the hardware usage, but 7 you just don't notice it unless you, I guess, have a solid state driver ship, but even then you wouldn't even really worry about it if you have an SSD. That's just something to note. Now, when this copy's over, I'm not going to run the modern setup because the modern setup host is going to expect that there's a product key and it's expecting Windows to be activated. I'm not doing that because I installed the Ultimate Edition. I don't want to use a Windows 7 Ultimate product key to activate this because it's not going to let me reuse it in Windows 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the classic setup host and just do a clean install without the product key, which negates that product key requirement, if I'm not mistaken, if you run the older Stylus setup, as if you're booted off the actual disk itself and we're installing with a clean install. That's how I'm going to go about doing it because I don't feel like bothering with activating Windows 7 because it's not staying on here. I'm only using it as an interim just so I can get the actual operating system to install because this stupid motherboard. Fortunately, with the GX620, I don't have to do this, thank God, because at least Dell knows how to properly make a freaking computer that actually boots all operating systems, even if they're not the most compatible. So we need to go to Sources, and we need to scroll down until we find setup.exe and run that. I'm actually kind of surprised at how well this is running. I got 64-bit running on 2 gigs of RAM, which is, again, this computer's maximum. And it's the slowest Pentium D ever made, and it's actually not all that slow. It's actually pretty fast. Of course, that's before you install the updates, so we're going to say I don't have a product key. We use Windows 10 Pro. Then we need to obviously accept the license agreement when it comes up. Do custom. Select the Windows partition, press OK. And there we go. Now we're installing. It looks no different than Windows 8 setup, but that's the point. So, alright. There we have it. So, I don't know how long this is going to take, but considering I'm not doing an upgrade, it's going to probably take, I don't know, I'd predict about a half an hour. This hard drive's pretty fast in the system, despite being an IDE hard drive. It's actually a fairly fast drive, so we might not actually be waiting all that long, but who's to say, because it's Windows 10 1909. It could take any number of length of time, so, yeah. Anyways, I guess we'll turn it back to my ugly mug now. I mean, at this point, I'm just kind of like waiting on stuff to install. I mean, I've got the Gateway MX6440 kind of sitting over here doing some stuff, and it's taking absolutely ages. So I'm just kind of letting it run in the background, do its thing. Did I miss anything in the chat? I nuke it regardless. Worse than Corona to me. Play with the XT. Oh God, you want me to pull out the Dell Latitude XT? I mean, I can. I've got it out. I mean, I don't know what I would do with it, but I mean, it's not like I can't go and pull it out just for shits and giggles. I mean, sure, why not? Let's go grab one. Alright, well I grabbed the Latitude XT just for Rob, because why not? And I also luckily got one of these extended battery slices to actually finally take a charge. So now I have even better battery life, so yeah. Just gotta play with old computers and they'll eventually start working for you, because it was not giving it anything when I was last using it. But I kind of let it sit overnight on the charger, and it actually came back to life, amazingly enough. So I actually have a working slice battery underneath. Now, I don't remember what was on this one. Did this one have the Kubuntu install, or was this the other one? I don't remember. So, 1 second. Don't show again. It's fine. Okay, this is the Kubuntu one. All right, cool. I was dinking around with old Kubuntu on this, so this will make Patrick go up in arms. I was going to use this for a video, but I never got around to it because, well, I figured it's just easier to do all this stuff in virtualization. But I think I'm going to do this video on a different computer, something that's not nearly as slow as this. I mean, it works. I got everything functional because this is the minimum Kubuntu you can install on one of these things. Because I tried Kubuntu 8.04 and it didn't boot at all. But 8.10 would actually boot just fine. And once I got all the updates installed, it actually seems to run pretty well. So, anyways, I'm going to turn this off real quick. And even then, it's still kind of glitchy, but it works well enough anyway. And that happens. Then again, Kubuntu 8.10 tends to cut the the startup sound off. And then, in case you're wondering about the Stylus, it works as a mouse cursor, but you can't click with it. It doesn't let you do anything because it's not properly supported. This is way, way early for the Stylus to actually work. But, yeah, and not even the finger part of it works. I have the multi-touch version of the XT, and as you can see, yeah, it doesn't detect the touch screen part of it at all. And, yeah, the Stylus doesn't work. So it's very, 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 very basic, but it works. But again, I'm going to pick something a little bit more fast for this system before I make my video on it, because the desktop animations, they don't really work all that well. Oh, crap, we're going to restart. Okay, good. All right, cross my fingers. Let's hope this works. Anyways, do I even have anything on this? Oh, I have a really, really ancient version of Super Tux Kart. Let's see how that works. I forget. It's been a minute. Oh God, this is the really, really old one. Oh boy. If I remember correctly, I don't think this ran very well at all. I'm gonna say I'm a novice. But beforehand, let's go ahead and hit Windows Setup here on this thing and make sure it boots up here. See, exactly. It rebooted right there. You see? It's the pickiest piece of junk. It did that when I was doing Windows deployment services earlier. It would not let me boot Windows 10. It is the pickiest piece of junk. Let's try it again. And it rebooted. See, I give that the middle finger. Like, what the heck? You piece of junk. I swear to God, if I have to do this with Windows 7, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. I was just trying to see if we could, like, do maybe Windows 10 with this system, but, like, I can't do this if it's going to just act like this, where it won't let me boot the setup. Yep, rebooted again. I guarantee you Windows 8 would do the same thing if I were to try it, but I don't have a product key and I don't want to show one on stream because I don't have a modified version of Windows 8 to crack the product key, to which it doesn't have to have it on setup or something like that. Wow, that did a whole lot of nothing. I pressed F8 for advanced startup options. I got a whole lot of nothing. So I got Control-Delete out of that. Good job, Windows. You work. That's an 805, right? Yes, it's a Pentium D 805. So it looks like we're going to be stuck having to do Windows 7 here. I don't think it works with 1909. I'll have to look that up here. And if anything, I can try looking it up on this, but I don't think it's going to work too well because we got the old Conqueror browser. Actually, do I have Firefox on this? I don't remember if I installed that. Try to put this hard drive in another PC and install Windows 10 to put the hard drive back in this. Maybe, but if it's not going to work, then there's no point in me wasting my time. Okay, good, I did put Firefox on this. It's better than nothing. Okay. I don't think this is really going to work too well, but we'll give it a shot. So, Pentium D805. Of course, it's in offline mode. Where is my wireless? It's probably not down in the taskbar because, of course, it's not. System settings. Network settings. Or is this supposed to be on the Ethernet in order for it to get online? I really can't remember. It's been a minute. Yeah, no kidding. This version of Windows cannot be installed because it just wouldn't start the setup. Another thing, too, I almost wonder if it's because I'm on 64-bit. That could be the problem. I was having issues with this thing over here. It wouldn't let me do it with 64-bit, but 32-bit would work just fine. So I almost wonder if that's the issue. If it's down to the 64-bit install not working. Wonder if you make the internal hard drive Windows to go. No, that's not supported anymore. Microsoft even said so. They no longer support the Windows to go feature. That's been phased out. Let me see if I can get this Latitude to work through the Ethernet because I can't be bothered to grab something else right now. Where the heck is the Ethernet? Is it on the back? It's on the back. Okay. That should work over Ethernet if I remember. That's how I was able to get all the updates to work. There we go. And Intel's site doesn't work because it needs SSL and it doesn't have the right certificates. Go figure, ancient Linux. All right, can we do it? Can we just go get a version of Firefox on this? Since this one actually does have a connection to the internet. I have to do it with Internet Explorer numero 8. Okay. Let's scoot stuff out of the way. Okay. Ask me later. Okay. Gotta love Internet Explorer 8 and its compatibility with websites. It's great. All right, there we go. All right, I'm missing out on stuff in the chat, apparently. Yeah, as Rob was saying, it might work with 32-bit, but 64-bit would just not work because there's missing instruction sets. I don't remember what the difference is between the 805 and the 960 as far as instruction sets go. That's why I'm kind of wanting to make a comparison. I think I'll also get CPU-Z, and I'll use that to see what the instruction sets are. Because in theory, if I'm not mistaken, this is it's obviously a 64-bit Pentium D because it's running 64-bit Windows 7 right now. I just don't remember what the deal is with Windows 10 because I have 64-bit Windows 10 running on the Pentium D960 already, and that works just fine. I mean, it's slow, but it's a Pentium D, so what did you expect? But it works otherwise, so that's not a big deal. I just don't remember what the difference is with the 805 because this is the very first Pentium D or the lowest end of the first run of Pentium Ds. I forget the code name of it. I'm sure that when I get CPU Z on here, it'll tell me. But I don't remember what the major differences were. Yeah, see, it says 64-bit here, and that is true. This is 64-bit. It does have XD, obviously, because it can run Windows 8, but otherwise there's no speed step that was not supported on this. This is a very, very basic processor. It does have physical address extension, obviously. That's kind of a given. That's been around since the Pentium 4. 2 cores, 2 threads. Okay. Well, that basically tells everything. So this is a Smithfield, that's right. Smithfields are not the best, but at least they're functional as a computer if you needed to. And I'm actually really surprised at how well this is browsing the internet right now. It's actually not too bad. But to be fair, this is a clean install of Windows 7, so I guess I can't be too hard on it. There's no updates installed. And you can definitely hear the CPU fan on this sucker when it gets to going. But if you've seen the video on this computer, you'll know that this is a BTX. Okay, it has SSE 3 support, but that's about all it's got going for it. It's got 1 meg of cache, I think. Or 2 megs of cache, maybe something like that. Anyway. You'd have to use 7 for a fair benchmark, as 10 would nag down the 965. No, it's a 960, not a 965. I mean, in the end, if I have to use Windows 7, I'm not going to really lose sleep over it. I don't care. It's just it would have been nice to push these CPUs with Windows 10 just to really show how awful and slow they are. That was the intention, but if it's so slow that or if it's so old that it won't actually work, then yeah. Will old XP to 7 era Dells become valuable one day, or will they just stay as cheap as dirt? Well, it depends on how stupid people tend to be. Because I've seen the Pentium 4 based Optiplexes get overcharged to hell in a handbasket. Because people think they're so good for Windows 98 gaming PCs. No, they're really not. And they're not worth $200 because they're cheap and they break. Ask me how I know. Literally, Socket 478 should not be worth $200. It's awful. So, yeah. If anybody's wondering about the picky motherboard in this computer, it's the Microstar International, or MSI, model MS-7248R. And I believe this is revision 1. And these boards are just the pickiest pieces of junk. I mean, they work, yes, but not a big fan of them. So anyways, since I can't obviously get this to work with Windows 10, or at least not the version that I had here, I was going to try 1511, but I only have the 32-bit version of that, and obviously that's not going to work if I'm running 64-bit Windows, but I just want to try something real quick. So I'm going to restart. I'm going to try PXE booting back into my server real quick. I'm going to try loading the 32-bit Windows setup, and I'm going to see if that works. I'm not going to be too picky if I have to use 32-bit because, well, that's mostly what these Pentium Ds probably ran back in the day, because 64-bit Windows was actually a bigger compromise than 32-bit Windows back in the day, at least until you hit Windows 7, then it wasn't too bad, but, you know. I just got to try it. I got to try it. And if it reboots, then we'll know it's not going to work. But if it works, then I'll actually try installing it, and we'll see if it actually does install. But I have a feeling it's not going to work. Because, see, it looks like it's going to boot. But I don't know if that's going to actually allow it to boot or not. Let's find out. Oh, ho, ho, it's going to let us actually boot it up this time around. That's actually a surprise. That actually really surprises me. So it's got to be something to do with the Smithfield Pentium Ds not having the proper 64-bit instruction sets to run anything past Windows 7. Interesting. Interesting. Yep, sure enough, it worked. There we go. Wow. All right. Well, I don't know. Should I do 32-bit Windows 10 or should I stay on 64-bit Windows 7? I think, to be fair, I'm going to probably stick to 64-bit Windows 7 just because it's 64-bit and it works. I already have it installed. And then I'll just have to reinstall Windows 7 onto the GX620 when it gets its turn. Boomer. All right, yeah, that's probably the better OS anyway for a Pentium D like this. But I'm actually surprised that it boots the 32-bit Windows 10 setup, but not the 64-bit Windows 10 setup. But that's no different than that gateway sitting over there anyway. I think Smithfield can run build 9200X64. I know because I did. Yeah, I do distinctly remember that. I was able to get something like that to work back in the day. I'm trying to remember what my Celeron D was as far as the code name. Mine was a Celeron D351, and I was able to run Windows 8 on that computer with no problems. But I think that was a newer version of it. I think because the 351 was in the line of the final run of Celeron Ds. But I do remember that could run Windows 8 with no problems. And that was, I believe, the 64-bit. But I can't remember. It was way back in the day that I did that. So I cannot remember for sure. I still have that CPU, by the way. My original Celeron D351. I have it at home. But, okay, gotcha. I was just reading the chat there. Just saw your stuff pop up. Well, looks like now I'm going to be stuck with a Windows setup entry in my registry, so I'm going to have to go clean that up. Or my boot.ini file, rather. So I get to go clean that. That's going to be fun. Install 1909x64. I literally just tried that and it wouldn't work. It just kept restarting as soon as it tried to boot the setup. It would literally reboot. So it doesn't work. This motherboard is the pickiest piece of junk. All right. Cool. So I've got the Radeon HD 8490 in here right now, just as a temporary. I'm going to probably... I mean, the HD 8490 honestly might not be a bad pairing when it comes to these Pentium Ds, so I might actually leave it in here. So for now, I'm going to probably install the driver for it, just so that way I have a display output of some kind. It's not going to be fantastic, but it'll at least work. Wow, I'm just really surprised at how well this is running. Like, I've never actually run Windows 7 on this computer, and it actually runs really well. I don't distinctly remember a Pentium D browsing the web this good. Just saying. Oh, yeah, right. Fucking AMD, they only show the Windows 8 or the Vista drivers because this card, they've screwed the driver page up for it, and so they don't show the Windows 7 driver, which is actually the one you're supposed to be able to use. Typical AMD, so you have to go and hunt down the driver for something else, which will end up being the driver that'll actually work for this card, so go figure. So you have to go and find the driver for the, get out of here, for the AMD E300, with the Radeon HD 6310, and only then will you get the Radeon software properly for this card. So you gotta go in here, and you gotta get the Crimson 16.2.1 beta. Let's see, I'm gonna open up task manager here real quick. Let's see what our system resource usage is. Well, I'm actually impressed. We're not actually using 1 gig of RAM yet, but I guarantee you that's not going to last long. All it's going to take is you run Windows Update, and that CPU is going to be up at 100%, and that memory is going to be up at 98%. I guarantee you, as soon as I run Windows Update. Want XP tablet PC. I think I've got that somewhere, if I'm not mistaken, because I think you sent me an image for that. I don't know if I still have that, but I don't have my main desktop on. Let me go check my server. Yep, see, there it goes. It's already slowing down. Yep. Oh, it's slow. Oh, no. Oh. Come on, computer. Stick it together. Damn it. Damn it. Mechanical keyboards, people. Do not get one with light keycaps because you will make typos like no other. Trust me, I type worse on a mechanical than I do on a rubber dome some days. It's awful. Okay. There we go. Alright, let me go check my storage here. Eject this ISO. I don't remember if I have that on here. I mean, that's just XP Service Pack 3. But doesn't this Service Pack 4 image, I think this was yours, doesn't that already have the tablet PC components in it? I don't remember. Well, that's broad key. But I don't remember. I don't think that is. I think you had a different image with the components already slipstreamed into it, but I don't think that's the one. I think that's just the Service Pack 4 slipstreamed into it. You'll have to correct me in the chat because I can't remember. Anyways, let's get this display driver installed. Well, I guess while we're waiting on that, we'll go get an appropriate wallpaper for this computer. I can't even type still. God dang it. Of course. I still can't type for the crap. Oh, come on. Don't give me the broken website. Oh, Standard 4x3. Good, good. That's exactly what I wanted. Your website layout sucks, people. What the heck is this? That is garbage. The original size was 1920 by 1200. Why is this a lower resolution? Dang it. I hate that when that happens. Where's that wallpaper? Because I know that there is a good version of this wallpaper online somewhere, and I don't remember where it was. Which site was it? I honestly don't remember. Yeah, I'm not seeing it anywhere. Oh, I love that. Click here for full resolution. Yeah, I'm sure that was pulled straight from some other website, and they don't like that. Yeah, I'm sure that's legit. Nope. This doesn't have it. Dang it. Alright, well, in the meantime, I'm just going to go get something else. Because why not? I'll just go get me another wallpaper that looks decent. Okay, that should be better. Okay, that's better. Yeah, I'm actually shocked at how well this is running. It's actually doing pretty well for itself. That's for how only having 2 gigs of RAM, and right now the hard drive light is stuck on solid. It is not turning off at all. Like, this is actually running surprisingly well. It is still chugging like an MFer though. That's no doubt. Alright, that ought to look decent enough until I get the display driver installed, and then it'll look a little better. Set an ROG wallpaper on that PC, oh dear God. Could just get a cow print picture and Photoshop the gateway text onto it. Well, I don't have paint.net installed, so I can't quite do that. And I don't have a display driver, so it'll lag like crap. So yeah, it's not going to work out too well now, isn't it? Racing with Ryan wallpaper. Oh, dear God. Yeah, just imagine how the chat would feel about that. Oh, man. A lot of people in the chat that I haven't even been paying attention to the chat. I'm just trying to get this thing working here, so oops. Just to make sure, I think Windows Update should be turned off. All right, yep. It is turned off, so it's not hogging resources up. So that's good. What are we currently sitting at? Not too shabby, but again, yeah. Famous last words. .NET framework are a slow hunk of crap. Doo-dah. Now you gotta have updates on to update as soon as you open any program. Oh yeah, because I enjoy opening up Steam and then it has to update before I can play a game. Yeah, every time. But that's what Steam loves to do best is update, so go figure. But I'll check for updates after I get the graphics driver installed, because then it doesn't have to hog everything for itself. And by that I mean Windows Update. Because then once I get everything like that going, then it can have everything for itself, and then it can check for updates, because then that's when it's going to start smashing the page file. Because it's only got 2 gigs of RAM. I think I already got this at a pretty high resolution for what it is, yeah. I could probably go 1400 by 1050, and it'll probably help a little bit, but the good that's going to really do. Yeah. We're moving. It's going. I'll bring it down here so you guys kind of see it a little better. Meanwhile, this Windows 10 upgrade over here in the corner, it's at 44%, so yay. So that's fun. Also, I get this graphics driver installed. I can't wait to run the Windows Experience Index just to kind of see what score I get, because I don't think there's anything stored in there right now. Yeah, there's nothing in there. So, yeah, we're going to have fun running this and see what kind of meme score I get out of it. Because I guarantee you that's going to be good. Let's see if I get this to aim the screen a little better here since I'm at it. I tell you what, though, I'm glad I'm not using an NVIDIA card in this computer, because the NVIDIA card would require you to install security updates before you can install the flippin' driver. And I don't feel like waiting on security updates to download and install because Windows 7. So no thank you. I think I'm going to stick with AMD for now. Because at least, unlike NVIDIA, I can actually install the frickin' driver. Actually, I'm going to take those set files and get them off my desktop. No, man, you gotta use a Matrox card. Yeah, let me just rip the Matrox onboard video out of my server and put it inside this computer. Or maybe I should be, maybe I should be like Budget Builds Official and get the Matrox Parhelia. I'll just put that inside of the PCI slot in this computer. Definitely, definitely. GTA 5 with Steam ran just fine on my build. Well, that's good. Matrox G450 dual head. Yeah, I don't think so. I got one of those cards, unfortunately. Are you kidding? You gotta use a Voodoo. Oh, Jesus. I actually do have a Voodoo. It's just, I don't have one of those VGA conversion cables, or like the VGA male to female or whatever they are. But I have an original model Voodoo. I just got nothing to put it into. Nah, man, you gotta use integrated graphics. Yeah, I'll definitely use the integrated graphics of this computer. You know, that high-performance ATI Radeon Express 200. That's exactly what this computer has. Dim high-performance graphics. As we wait for Windows 7 to have to install all these freaking redistributable updates because it's so old and nothing is on Windows 7, so you have to wait for everything to install in order for the driver to work. Go figure. Yay. Although Windows 7 is worse as far as NVIDIA goes, because at least I don't have to install updates. Yay. Seriously, this driver installer in Windows 10 takes like 2 minutes, whereas on Windows 7 you're stuck waiting forever. Even more proof to show why Windows 7 is a pain in the ass on good hardware and not your bog standard D630. Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, this computer is from 2006, so, I mean, I guess I can't be too hard on it. And that's kind of why I'm not surprised that Windows 10 didn't work the first go around. Imagine using Windows 7 on a Vostro 1500 and it's quite unusable, but the memory usage is going to go up very fast. Oh, I'm actually kind of surprised that it hasn't gone up on this thing. Yet. It's bound to, but it hasn't yet. Oh, yes, install. We're currently sitting at 45%. Imagine using Windows 7 on a Pentium 3. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Windows 7 basically turned into the XP we didn't want because XP got the same treatment of being dealt with. You had to deal with all the updates of XP, and then XP got like stupid slow. Well, yeah, the same exact thing happened with Windows 7. And also, I guess similarly, the exact same thing almost happened with Windows 8. But ever since I started doing the cumulative update thing, I think since 2017, I think, maybe 2016 is when I started doing all the cumulative update stuff. Then it wasn't nearly as bad, but still. Imagine using Windows 7 on a low-end Athlon XP. I mean, I have the old Athlon XP sitting in the corner. Oh, I don't want to install this, but okay, sure, why not? I don't have anything connected to the display port, so there's no point in installing the driver, but okay, sure, why not? Yeah, I love how it's trying to install the HDMI audio driver, even though this card has a very obvious display port on the back. No HDMI. Because that's real smart. Conclusion, they both are bad. Yeah, we knew that already. Meanwhile, we're going to unplug you guys real quick. Meanwhile, we are at 47% on this meme. Conclusion, get an Intel Atom. Yeah, right. Obviously, Intel Atom is the way to go. Whoa, the drivers have been installed. You must restart the computer. Whoa. Conclusion, get a will to live. No, you gotta get a we to live, according to Patrick. Conclusion, more cores equals more FPS, definitely. Atoms are better than the Celeron D. Not with the machines that they were paired with. I mean, if you have an external monitor, maybe, but not really. Let's be fair. I mean, the atoms in and of themselves are impressive just because of their thermal envelope. At least especially the later ones. But I wouldn't go out of my way to say that they're better. Alright, survey says we have a display driver. Hey, that's not bad at all. Alright. Cool, cool. Okie doke. That wallpaper looks 1,000 times better than it did at the other resolution. So now we can go ahead and we can enable Windows Arrow, because why not? Because I'm just a sucker for punishment. And there we go. All right. So it seems to be working actually pretty well. Not too shabby. All right. Let's see, am I missing anything as far as the vice manager goes? I guess we'll take a look-see here. I don't think so. Nope, we're all good to go. Perfect. All right. Well, actually, before I do anything, I'm going to go in here, close this out. Here's a little secret. If you're ever doing these pointless Windows Experience Index tests and you want to get the maximum out of them, just turn on the Windows Classic theme. It works every time. You will guaranteed get a better score if you use the Windows Classic theme over any other theme on the system if you're doing one of these things. Even though these are pointless these days, why not? Do Shift plus 11 during an XP setup. I forget what that actually does. You have to remind me what that actually does. Alright. How much do you want to bet this is going to score a 5-point something? Definitely. No, not really. We got to tamper our expectations. I'm expecting it to get like a 3-point something. Like a high 3-point something, but definitely not anywhere in the realm of 4-point something. This GPU is not exactly the greatest. But let's find out. See anything in the chat? A whole 1.2 Windows Experience Index. Bro, that's Pentium 2. Conclusion, Windows Index is the only PC benchmark that matters. Yes. In the case of Windows Vista through Windows 8.0. Because those are the only ones that you had the official Windows Experience Index thing in there. What was that? Windows Index 7.9 or go home. Yeah, if I put Windows 7 on this thing over here, guaranteed to get a 7.9 all day long. Everything probably not. The CPU would probably be the bottleneck. Who needs Linus Tech Tips when you have Experience Index? Yes. Like I said, guys, the all-important, all-inclusive benchmark. Actually, I only just said that now, so oops. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Maybe I should run the Windows Experience Index on this gateway when it gets finished with its Windows 10 upgrade. Boy, wouldn't that be a meme? All right, it's restarting. And the fan is raging. No surprise. Windows N1 ME95 Vis XP Edition or go home. God damn it, Chris. Good gravy. That's something. That's certainly something. Well, I guess while we're waiting, I'm gonna go get the Optiplex GX620 out of the closet because that's got to come out eventually. I remember I ran Windows Experience Index and a Windows Vista VM for my old PC, and it gave me 5.9 for everything except for my CPU. It gave me 5.8. I think that's just an anomaly of the VM, not anything to do with your computer. Because I think my i7-2600 gave me everything, but it was an anomaly. Did you get Thunderbird 52 to work on Windows XP? Yes, I did, actually. Alright, get out of my face. So, gotta do a little bit of digging here real quick so I can't see the chat. Probably not missing anything though. This thing is a bastard. Get out of the closet. And then this meme can go back in there. And then this meme can go back in there. Now, that's gonna have to be temporary, but that's okay. As long as nothing falls over, it should be fine. Oh, fully, yeah. I did get it to work fully. Jordan's coming out of the closet, guys. Damn it. Y'all are too funny. Alright, let me get this up on the bed. I want to try to make this as equivalent as possible. So what I'm going to do is, because that gateway is limited to 2 gigs of RAM, I'm going to limit the Optiplex here to also have only 2 gigs of RAM. I just want to make sure that the comparison's fair. Which one is the nearest socket? I don't know, because Dell doesn't label their motherboards. Thanks, Dell. I'm just going to assume that we're going to do the black slots, whatever. I guess I find out if I have a memory error or something, then we'll know. Okay, there we go. No, actually, you're wrong. The server up there is a PowerEdge R610. I have 2 of these servers. This is my parts unit. I have another one that's actually more complete and actually functions. Well, I mean, they both function, but this one has no RAM and no hard drives, obviously. So, yeah. And yes, it is rack mount. And it's a 1U server. Nice, I have an R620. Yeah, I've actually used an R620. Those are pretty nice servers. Remember, I had to use one of those for class. They are pretty friggin' nice, I will tell you that much. Okay. So I got a hard drive. The slots are ready for when I need to transfer the graphics card over. And everything else looks okay to me. Perfect. I'll rack mount you, no you. Ha, see what I did there? No you. Because there's no amount of U's you can fit a Jordan into a server rack to fit me. Uh-oh, guys, it finished. We got a score of 4.4, and the bottleneck's the CPU and the RAM. The GPU actually did better than I thought. Wow. That's sad. But, I mean, to be expected for an old Pentium D like this. It did better than I thought, though. That's actually kind of impressive. Anyways, back to personalization. Install soft RAM on that PC. Yeah, they'll give me all the RAMs. All the RAMs. Okay, perfect. We're just going to delete the Windows 10 install files here. And then I need to go in here because I need to go under Advanced System Settings, and I need to go under Startup and Recovery, and only do Windows 7 as the operating system. Not that that's really going to do a whole heck of a lot, because it's probably still going to come up anyway, but we'll see what happens. Or actually, no, maybe just in case it doesn't work. Oops, wrong panel. I'm a smart person. Just in case it doesn't work, I don't want to completely brick the system. I'm going to do 30 seconds. Hopefully that works. Okay. E-man, Windows Arrow. Alright. Now I gotta use the GT710. Yeah, the GT710's sitting down here at the moment, so I don't know if that's going to be any better or not. And besides, I don't want to sit through waiting on Windows updates before I can install a driver for an NVIDIA card on Windows 7, because NVIDIA is an asshole and they won't let you do it unless you install security updates on Windows 7 before you can install the display driver. It's the stupidest freaking thing ever. So I'm not doing that. I'm not waiting because it's going to take too long. So anyways, So this is working. So I will come back to this later. So shut down. Okay, put that in eMaster and put Windows 7 on it. You know, that's the whole reason why I bought this card, was to use it in that computer, and it doesn't work. Because it won't output any video when you have it connected inside the PCI Express X1 slot. And on top of that, if you try to install the driver, it bricks the system. You have to uninstall the driver before Windows will let you boot it up again. You can boot it into safe mode to uninstall the driver, but it will not boot normally when you have the driver installed for this card on that computer. It will just blue screen. So, yeah, I already tried that. And, of course, I tried installing a BIOS update for that computer. The one directly from the website, which is actually a BIOS update for that motherboard. And guess what? Tried installing it. Not the same one, because, of course, it's not the same one for the exact same computer. Thanks, eMachines, or in this case, Acer, because it doesn't frickin' work. Anyways, mini vent over. So, all right. Now we just need to get the Optiplex GX620 up here, which is going to be a big computer on the desk. So we're going to set you up here. You're going to have to look through these LAN cables for a moment while I get all this stuff transferred around. Of course, the irony is I'm testing 2 BTX systems, so that's going to be fun. Oh, why did I tighten these thumb screws as tight as I did? That was a stupid idea. Come on. Come on. What are we doing? There we go. Okay. That's going to stay over here. All right, 1 minute. Okay. More like POS systems. I don't even want to know what you guys are talking about right now. I'm just going to turn that on higher. Make sure I don't kink this power cord too badly. Okay, good. No auto power on. Oh, yep, it is auto power. Stop it. Turn off. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I almost forgot. GPU transfer time. Yay! Yay! Okay, I am back. I almost forgot the graphics card because I'm a smart. I have now got the graphics card. All right, so let's get this installed. I have to do this like this. All right. As much as I hate Dell's toolless bracket system on their BTX computers, at least it actually functions in the end anyway. Okay. All right, let me grab a side panel real quick. Bada boom, bada bing. Now we're ready to go. Looks like this is also done, but guess what? Lost the display driver once again, because go figure, every Windows 10 update you do on an old computer like this, you have to lose your display driver to have to go and reinstall it again, because that's Windows 10. Let's do an upgrade, but let's fuck over all your drivers, because that's logical. Anyways, let's get this show on the road. Is this lens smudged? I hope it's not. Oh, right, there's no network boot yet. I gotta go turn that on, like a smart person. Yay! Have to go install that. Okay, saw that said the time and date's wrong. Yep, of course it is. Today is April the 20th of 2020. And it is currently 5:50. There we go. Should be all we gotta do. There we go. And there we go. Let me catch up on the chat here. See what I missed. We're talking about your IP address. God dang it. I'm going to tell that your PC and DDoS you. Yeah, good luck with that. Send me the credit card numbers. So much PMD. Oh, y'all have fun with the chat. How hard is it to set up PXE? Actually, not too bad. Given that I use a Windows 2019 Essential server, I use the built-in Windows Deployment Services feature of the operating system, and it actually works really well. And the nice thing is, the way that this works, it actually integrates with the Windows setup itself, and so it's completely native and custom at the same time, and it actually seems to be a pretty nice implementation. And just like that, we can now start Windows Deployment Services. All right, un momento, por favor. Oh, I'm already screwing up. God damn it. Okay, and I need Windows 7 Ultimate. Yeah, you can see how much free space I had on the Windows 10 drive. Had a lot of free space on that Windows 10 install. Whoops. This is why you don't use an 80 gig hard drive, people. Free. Whatever. And there we go. Just like that, we're off to the races. Use a 74 gig hard drive. Yeah, it already has a 74 gig hard drive. It's right there. Is it just me, or is that aspect ratio wonky on the latitude? No, this is a this is the Gateway MX6440, and that fan is just raging. Set up WDS for POS ready. What do you mean, like Windows Embedded POS Ready 7 or something else? Because this this way of installing Windows only works for Windows versions that install off of a .wim file. So I don't remember if POS Ready 2009 uses a .wim file for installation. It's been a bit since I've used that. If it does use a .wim file, it might work, but otherwise, no, it won't, because this is too new for that. It's, I think they started doing that in 2008. No, it wouldn't have been 2008. It would have had to have been 2012 that they started doing that. Oh, crap. We got settings, privacy settings. Yay. All right, turn all this crap off. I guarantee you, when I get to the desktop and when I open up Device Manager, I guarantee you all the drivers are going to be frigged up again, because I did this with 1903 and it did the exact same thing, where I went into Device Manager and all the drivers had triangles on them. I don't know why, but that's how Windows 10 is. It's like you upgrade once and then all your drivers get screwed up. So I don't know. At least it gives me something to do with this while I'm waiting on this stuff to do its thing. Andale. Let's go. Because I guarantee you, if I install, I guarantee this is going to be crap, and I'm going to have to go back to 1511. I'm going to have to manually install 1607 and see if it breaks. I don't know. All right, there's the desktop. Finally took it forever enough to get here. Okay, let's see here. Hard drive is chugging. Yay! There we go. I'll let that have its fun. Oh, we're already halfway through. Holy crap, not bad. So no, in my current instance of Windows deployment services, this is not faster than a flash drive, but it's certainly faster than a DVD, and it's a heck of a lot more convenient, so I'll take it. Of course, if you already have that version of Windows that you're trying to install already on a flash drive, then yeah, it would be faster to do it that way, but this is ultimately more convenient because all you got to do is just plug in the network cable and you're off to the races. Assuming that you already have everything already set up on the server in question. I can't even speak today. All right, let's see if this installs Boofed or if I can actually use it, because that's not looking good. That's not looking good at all. Because this is looking exactly like it did with 1903. I guarantee you everything's going to have a frickin' triangle next to it. Come on. Of course, I just got to the desktop. Yep. What did I expect? Yep, everything's got a fucking triangle next to it. So guess what? I get to go back to 1511. Yay! Because it didn't work. Go figure. Everything's got a triangle next to it. Yep. That upgrade was pointless. And yes, I tried installing updates. Doesn't fix the issue. Because Windows is so eternally crapped out that you try to go install a driver and Windows is just like, nope, we can't install the driver. Even though you manually specify the driver, it just refuses to install the driver because it just says that it won't install the driver because it doesn't know where the files are. Even though I tell it where the files are, it's just as bad as Windows 95 or worse. So we're just going to do this as soon as it decides it wants to respond. All right, go back to the previous version of Windows. Can't reinstall them. Yep, I tried that. I used a graphics driver. Tried to reinstall that. Windows literally told me it could not find the driver files, even though I specifically pointed out the INF file. And it found the driver, but it said it couldn't find the files. It is the stupidest freaking thing. So it will not let you reinstall the drivers. And then there's other drivers on that list that had the triangles on them. It will just say it doesn't have enough resources, even though it literally had no problems with the exact same drivers in 1511. How it manages to not have enough resources to load the exact same drivers that worked just fine in the previous version, I don't know. But I have a feeling that I'm going to have to... I've got the feeling I'm going to have to go through, and I'm going to have to pull a Dell Latitude D610, where I'm going to have to go manually through 1607, 1703, 1709, 1803, 1809, 1903, 1909, in order for everything to work. Because apparently these massive jumps are just too much for this computer to take. Either that, or I'm going to have to do a flat-out clean install with 1909 on it, a 32-bit version, and cross my fingers and hope that that works. But there's no guarantees with that either, so it's just a bunch of hoopla. And besides, it's not like it's going to really matter too much, because if it only works with 1511, then that's fine, because it runs okay on this anyways. So, I don't know. We'll let that go back to the previous build. This is done installing, so that's great. Mr. Cadillac just joined the server. I bet you that's a Banavator. I don't know. I can't see the Discord right now because I ain't got nothing in front of me. Oh, good, it's booting. I'm going to plug you guys back into power real quick, because I have no idea what my phone battery is at. I don't want to chance it. Oh, he's fine. Okay. I can't see the Discord right now because obviously I'm streaming and I don't have a computer in front of me to check. You've got a YouTube account to connect. Okay, cool. That's perfect. All right. I'm actually going to grab a computer real quick because I might as well check and see what's going on with the Discord, because there's a bunch of messages I haven't seen. I've got a bunch of notifications on my phone from the Discord, but I haven't had a chance to read them yet, so I'm going to do that while this finishes installing Windows. Holy crap, I got a bunch of unread messages. Oh my god, your guys are already memeing on me in the frickin' chat. Of course. Oh, excuse me. Oh, of course. Yeah, nothing there, but whatever. I'll check that new user account. Okay, yeah, they do have it there. Okay. Well, then that ought to be all right then. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. So I'm at least a little bit caught up. It is currently still on setup as installing devices at the moment. It looks basically like the Windows 8 or 10 setup at this phase. It just has the Windows 7 style of little glowy progress bar thingy on it. Couple things about WDS. Can I do it as you do with... Oh, hang on a second. There's been a lot of messages about WDS, so I'm going to have to scroll through both the YouTube chat and the Discord chat. So give me a minute. I'm going to have to look here. Let me see. Somebody's asking about domain. And I think with Windows Server 2016 and newer, you do not need a domain to use Windows Deployment Services, if I remember correctly. Because I believe with 2012 R2 and before, you did have to have an Active Directory domain set up on the network in order for you to be able to actually use Windows Deployment Services. But I think in 2016, they removed that restriction. So with 2016 and 2019, or if you use the version of Windows Server that updates just like the consumer versions of Windows 10, which both of them are basically feature identical, like the server versions wise, it's just that the one that is not called 2019 gets all the regular feature updates as Windows 10 at the same intervals, but I digress. Anyway, with those newer versions, no, you do not need to have an Active Directory domain. Oh, man. And then Rob had a question as far as the thing is concerned here. So let me go to off topic. Can I do it as you do with older versions of Windows Server? I believe you should be able to. All you need to do is install it as a feature. I think that's... No, it would be a role. So you have to install the Windows Deployment Services role when you set up the operating system. I believe that's basically the same process throughout most versions of Windows Server since I think 2003, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, don't quote me on that, but I think that's how it is. Anyways, Is WDS free? No. Windows Deployment Services is part of Windows Server, and if you don't have a proper license for it, no, you can't. I mean, you can get trial versions of Windows Server. All right, cool. We're good to go. So you can do like a 120-day trial, 180-day trial. I think it's 180 days. I could be wrong. It might be a 120-day trial of Windows Server, and you could try it, but you have to buy a license in order to properly use Windows Server. So that's another thing you have to keep in mind. I have a license because my school has an Azure server, so I was able to get my license from there, and it's completely legal because I paid for my tuition. So, yeah. Okay, so GX 620. I'll deal with my product key crap off camera. The legal way. Yeah, I know, right? It's not like Windows 7 is going to be staying on these computers for very long anyway, so I don't really care. Although, knowing my luck, the friggin' backup battery is going to go dead on this thing, and it's going to reset the date and time. It's going to throw the activation off. I just need more CMOS batteries, man, but I can't buy them because everybody's closed due to friggin' you-know-what. So it makes things just all that more funner. Yay! I mean, I could order some, but that's just too easy. I like to get my stuff locally if I can. If you know what I mean. Okay. I've activated my server. Oh, man. Also, oh, man, we're going to play Patrick's favorite sound effect when it comes to stuff. All right. So now we're back to the same spot as we were before with the Gateway GT4024. Except, as you can see, we are on a much nicer CPU, being the Pentium D at 3.6 gigahertz. Oh, my camera's shaky because I'm holding it really bad, but there you go. Hopefully you can see it. Pentium D 3.6 gigahertz. A literal 130 watt room heater, basically. That's what this is. So, okay. And before we get started, we're going to go get a web browser and all that fun stuff. Turn that off because it's finally cooled down in here, but that's probably going to last for like 5 seconds because this thing's going to get hot. Oh, get out of here, Internet Explorer. Oh, it's going to open up. Get out of here. Get out of here. Okay. Oh, right. Duh. Can't go through there. Right, you can't go to AMD's website on Internet Explorer 8 anymore because they just tell you access denied. I always forget about that. This already feels a lot faster. Like, a lot faster. Of course, hard drive performance is debatable, but it's whatever. Why you always live stream on 420? I think it's just down to pure luck, honestly. I don't intentionally try to live stream on a specific date. I think it just happens that way. Okay. There we go. I gotta do the same thing here as far as the drivers go, because the same graphics card. Gotta do the shortcut of the AMD E300. And you can hear the room heater going off. And trust me, these fans inside of these BTX Dells, when they spin up, they are very loud. But in the case of this CPU, you kind of have to have it be that way, because otherwise it would cook itself, literally. And while that has fun, we'll get CPU-Z here. Okay, and then we'll give you guys a look at this CPU, because why not? As you can see, this has quite a bit more cache. It has 4 megabytes of cache. It also has VTX, so I could run virtual machines on this. Why you'd want to do that, I don't know, but whatever. Also, this is on the more efficient Pressler core on 65 nanometer, whereas the older one on Smithfield was 90 nanometer. And obviously the clock speed is a hell of a lot higher on this system. Dell motherboard, I think it's on the latest BIOS A11, I think is the latest one from November 30, 2006. I think. 2 gigs of RAM. Apparently PC2 5300, which apparently the system says 333 megahertz on that. I beg to differ, but okay. Maybe that's true. I have no idea. Anyways, let's go get that driver installed. Oh. Let's see, I don't remember. I don't think with this system I have to install anything additional, because it also has all of its drivers really taken care of when you install it. Unless it's the serial port, which usually sometimes always occurs. You always have to reinstall the driver for the serial port, but I don't really worry about that. Already that Radeon software thing is working a heck of a lot better. Oh, right. The sound doesn't have a driver. That's right. These don't install the audio driver out of the box. You have to download the one for Vista, 64-bit, and then it works just fine. Or is it XP 64-bit? I can't remember. It's one of those drivers, and then it works fine under Windows 7, and then Windows 8 and later automatically install the driver. Which is weird that Windows 7 doesn't, but it's whatever. It's kind of weird. Yeah, definitely the CPU usage is bouncing around there, that's for sure. Analyzing system. Whoa. It is seeking the floppy drive. Oh man. AMD is going to format my floppy disk drives. Alright, time for the same exciting process that we had earlier, installing all the .NET Framework updates and everything. Yay! And listen to the hard drive sit here and crunch, crunch, crunch away. So that's going to be fun. on my watch is telling me there's still more time to close my rings for the day. Wow, it's not like I didn't realize that, but if I go outside, I might die. Alright. I guess in the meantime, I'm going to open it back up my computer so I can actually look at the Discord. There we go. Gotta love how long it takes for .NET Framework 4.5. Because it's the best thing ever. And there goes the room heater. I actually legitimately wonder how long that this is going to take. I guess we'll find out. Meanwhile, this thing's finally gotten back to being done restoring, and so I'm just waiting for the desktop to load. Notice how it's in the native resolution of 1280 by 800 because the display driver is actually loaded, and all the other drivers seem to work magically, even though somehow in the newer versions they don't work because they all magically just don't work. How that makes sense to the Windows operating system, I have no idea, but it doesn't make sense to me. So, anyways, fun stuff, fun stuff. Just gotta love listening to the sound of the fan. Which on a more modern, like, Core 2 Duo with this exact same BTX style case, they're virtually silent. You almost never ever hear those fans spin up in a newer system. This is like a rare instance where you actually hear the fans in these things spin up when they're needed. Wouldn't you want to listen to that on your desk all day? It's the best. Although the other gateway was doing it too, so it's not unique to this Dell. Oh, I actually installed .NET 4.5 actually a little faster. Not much faster, but a little faster. Not so significant to where you'll actually notice the difference. Let's be fair. Dang it, Anthony. Of course. Hopefully this hurries up so that way I can get this stream wrapped up, and I gotta go and see if I can fight my way through the essential grocery store without like thousands of families and the kids and everybody's wearing face masks. Got my own computer. Let go. Currently installing AMD Install Manager. Whoa. That's some high-tech stuff, bro. AMD display driver. I guess I'll be nice. I'll plug you guys back into the charger again. Oh, there's the dialog box. Yes, I'd like to install. I love how we got Jordan Woolery's archive in the chat just saying Japan. Of course. Why would we ever have another country? That's totally fair. Anyway. Oh, there's that other one. Alright, well, it should be done any moment now. Come on, you can do it. I believe in you, Pentium D. You can do it. Alright, it is done. Perfect. I would like to restart now. Doodah, doodah. Oh, well, apparently my watch says I reached my stand goal while I've been sitting. I reached my stand goal while sitting. Thanks, watch. Oh, what do you know? Just locked up on the BIOS. Thanks. Appreciate it. Frickin' computer. Yes, I'm aware the system battery voltage is low. Thank you for telling me that. Does this PC support Aero? Well, it's not necessarily the PC. It's going to be the graphics card. And yes, the graphics card supports Aero because I was using it in the other computer and I had the Aero theme working on that just fine. Also, Patrick, I see exactly what you posted in the Discord. You're going to wish that was your Pentium D. Alright, display driver seems to be working. That is great. Yeah, you're going to wish you did because Pentium D, it's your favorite. I see you. You're in the chat. I got you pulled up. Alright, there we go. Perfect. So now comes the fun part of doing the obligatory. We need to go turn the theme to the Windows Classic theme. And then we get to run the most important test of all, the Windows Experience Index. Alright. And go. And while that runs, this has finally made it back to the desktop of Windows 10, 15, 11. And guess what? I'm going to go into the Device Manager. Not only is everything in the proper display resolution, but guess what? Pretty much all the drivers are working except for the sound driver and the SD card driver because I haven't gotten those installed. I never did. But needless to say, they didn't work anyway when I upgraded. And there's not like 1,000 different triangles inside the device manager list. So I don't get what the deal is of when you upgrade from 1511 in this case to another version of Windows 10 and it just screws all the drivers up. Don't understand what the deal is there. I mean, it obviously installs, it works, but none of the drivers work because Windows just likes to throw a fit. So I don't get what the deal is. But it works fine on 1511, so I don't know, maybe I'll try doing like an upgrade from 1511 to 1607 and see if that works. That's about all I can really say, though, because well, there's not really too much else to it, I guess. It's either that or I use an LTSC build, but I ain't doing that unless I absolutely have to, because those tend to be a lot slower than the consumer builds. Or at least that's in my experience. But anyways, so this is working again. So, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and shut the lid. Because now I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, we'll let this finish. And then we'll just wrap it up. The new versions of Windows is just trash. Not necessarily. It's just trash on older hardware. On newer hardware, it actually works just fine. That is as long as Microsoft doesn't seem to make a buggy update every time, which, contrary to popular news media articles' beliefs, I've never had an issue with Windows updates. Well, not majorly to the point where I have major issues. That was only back in the days of, I think, Windows 10, 1507 and whatnot, but those days are long gone, so yeah. tuning Windows Media Decoding, and guess what we get to listen to? The cooling fan. It's the most bestest noise, yay. My audio drivers don't work on new versions of Windows. Well, can't tell you much on that one. I don't know what to do about it. I've never had an issue like that recently. I've had it before, but I haven't had it recently. And VMware too. VMware works fine for me. Never had an issue with it. The only time I've had an issue with it was back on my old Optiplex 790. And that was just because I was a smart person. I had Windows installed on UEFI, not on BIOS, so it had a secure boot problem. And that was just because Sandy Bridge doesn't support secure boot. At least in that implementation, it didn't support secure boot because the BIOS is so old. But that was just more of a user error, not an actual fault of Windows. Oh, the disk test. The one where the hard drive has to sit on full time and do absolutely nothing. Yay! It's probably going to take forever. Anyways. I'll put you guys down here for a moment. Yeah, that'll basically be about it, honestly. As far as this video, or stream rather, is going to be concerned. Just wanted to show some video prep, because why not? For more than one video, at least. Oh, Windows Experience Index takes forever. Oh, excuse me. That was a burp. I guarantee you that that's probably not going to get any better than a 4.4. Maybe it will. I'm not too sure. Shave, man. No you, because I'm not like Linus Tech Tips in his live streams where like you got like 100,000 people sitting here telling him to shave. I'm going to keep my facial hair. Thank you very much. So, yeah. I'm lazy to shave, and there's no point in doing that when I'm not going anywhere. How's Windows 7 running on the D on the GX620? Well, it feels about the same as the Gateway GT4024, and that's just because it's a Pentium D. Maybe a slight bit faster because it's a better clock speed. It's got double the cache, so it's not nearly as slow. So it seems to be okay-ish. So, yeah. Just waiting on this disk performance test to finish. And assessment complete. Perfect. Get the camera up here. Oh, holy crap. Wow, that actually did a lot better than I thought. Look at that. So that system over there got a 4.4 because the CPU and the memory were the lowest subscore at 4.4. This actually got a 5.2. Holy crap. Now that's not bad. Of course, now the graphics card is lining up with the CPU and the memory as far as the lowest subscores. But, dang, that's not bad at all. That's pretty good for a 2005, 2006-ish desktop. It's not bad at all, honestly. So, credit where it's due. All right. And there we go. Just a quick hi, I have to go to work. Yeah, I'm about to wrap up the stream too, because I got things I got to go do. So that was good to see you there, Steven. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have this one sitting doing Windows updates while I'm gone. Because why not? So I don't want to turn automatic updates on. I'm going to just have this where it will download updates, but let me choose whether to install them. Because I just want it to sit in the background and just download updates, but I don't want it to actually install them until I get back home, and then I can press the OK button on installing everything. Anyways, so that's about to wrap up this stream. So thank you all for coming. This will be an upcoming video, hopefully here sooner rather than later. We'll have to see how busy I get with classes and all that stuff, because obviously when it comes to school, I have to make that a priority. So videos get put on the back burner until I'm done, or the weekend, or whatever have you. But I had a bit of a break of free time today that I figured, what the heck, I'll do a live stream. So hopefully this was at least something better than nothing anyway. To go alongside the video that came out today. So I think tomorrow, I'm going to have a software video coming out, and I'm hoping to just start making more hardware videos to mix alongside the software videos just to keep things interesting. So anyways, so I'm going to head out of here. Thank you all for coming. Hopefully to see you all in the next one or the next video or whatever have you, and all that fun stuff. So, yep.